was told that the flagpole was from School Street School when she bought the house 20-something years ago. She's previously offered it to the district. The offer was turned down because of the potential liability of taking it down, private property, electrical wires, etc. It's now down due to a storm and laying in her backyard. She indicated that it would need to be refurbished. The School Street School, as you all know, and we spent some money on right in front of Court Street, is commemorated at Court Street Elementary School with the school's bell. This donation would incur costs of refurbishing and installation somewhere on district property. But Board of Education Policy 55230, acceptance of gifts, grants, and banquets to the school district, indicates the board will not accept any gifts or grants that will place encumbrances on future boards or result in unreasonable addition to or hidden cost to the school district. So if the Board of Education wants to accept the donation, we'll contact Mrs. Thomas and ask her to put the offer in writing as per board policy, and the board can take it into action. It's my recommendation not to do so.
All right, is there let me put the motion in the form of politely declining the offer. Is there a motion to go along that way? Any other discussion or questions?
Yes, I would just like to have it noted that a sincere thank you for thinking about us in moving forward with the flagpole, and I hope that with the rejection we can help her find a suitable home for maybe somebody would want to refurbish it at their cost.
Very nice one. We'll do the best we can.
It could be a community project with some group that would be interested. At this point, is there, all those in favor of the motion to politely decline the offer, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone against? So approved. 12.22, naming the school facilities. Now, as we alluded to before, I'm sure everybody's read the newspapers. Week before the election, Mr. Russell Salvatore donated about $300,000 to the LEAF organization, which is going to be towards the capital campaign. And Dr. Dowley has made a recommendation to us that the field house be renamed the Russell J. Salvatore Field House. So I'd like to read the memo that he gave to us, because I think this very nicely explains what this man means to our community. To the members of the Board of Education, Michael J. Dowley, PhD, June 8, 2015, naming the school facilities Russell J. Salvatore Field House. For decades, the name Russell J. Salvatore has been associated with a spirit of unprecedented philanthropy throughout our region. In the Lancaster School District, we have been grateful for Mr. Salvatore's generous support throughout the years, providing dining certificates that have helped to fund numerous scholarship and extracurricular opportunities. In addition, our Academy of Hospitality and Tourism students benefit greatly from the one-of-a-kind partnership they experience with college students and educators at the Russell J. Salvatore School of Hospitality and Business. All of Western New York has watched Mr. Salvatore grow his business from a small restaurant in the heart of the city to one of the finest restaurants in the nation. Similarly, Lancaster School District has continued to build upon its foundation of excellence in education to become one of Western New York's top 10 school districts, with numerous designations putting us among the best in the state. Together, we are part of what makes this community so great. Mr. Salvatore's generous donation of $300,000 to the LEAF Capital Campaign sent a profound and powerful message to this community and to our students. Everything that has Russell J. Salvatore's name attached to it carries a mark of distinction. That is why it is my recommendation, as Dr. Dowley, to name the field house the Russell J. Salvatore Field House. The Russell J. Salvatore Field House will be distinctive among high school athletic facilities with a regulation-sized track, enabling us to hold sectional meets. At this time, there are only 3 other venues of its kind in the region, all at the collegiate level. The motion is to name the district's field house after Russell J. Salvatore and to call it the Russell J. Salvatore Field House. I, as president, would like to take advantage of my prerogative at this point and actually make the motion. Usually I do not. Mr. Salvatore, that evening when he was giving the check, I told him I was going to do that, and I want to carry through with that. And I believe Mrs. McKay wishes to second it.
I'd like to second it.
All right. Is there any discussion or anything anybody would like to say about this? All those in favor of approving the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone against? So approved. 13.0, a public hearing. Would anybody at this time like to address the board? If so, please come up to the podium with the microphone, state your name and address. Prepared to release that information at this time. Why? We do not engage in back and forth. Pam, you had a second question?
Well, then the second question was for that piece of it. How much did that? My second question was going to be how much that cost, but you didn't release who that was.
I'll answer the question.
Okay.
You know, to the best of my ability at this time.
Okay.
Right now, that was all done pro bono.
Okay.
And so consequently, it is a multi-million-dollar, company that came in and said, we'd like to help you out with this, did it all pro bono. So consequently, they asked us to withhold their name at totally appropriate time.
Okay. And I was only asking that because I do know a local printer who had offered services for free to you guys because he is an alumni and said that he never received like a thank you for even his offer. He received no word back from the board.
I know who you're speaking of.
Okay.
And he's been called back 3 times, and we did thank him for his offer, and he's not the only one. There were literally at least 5 or 7 companies that came to our aid, and we greatly appreciate everyone's offer. It's just that this particular company came first, and we went with them.
Then the second thing I had actually was something that was brought to me today. Otherwise, I probably would have just emailed it to some of you. I do have copies. I don't know if I'm able to approach and have you guys
Give it to Mrs. Janik.
Yes.
Clerk.
Yep, I have 8 copies of this.
Well, we'll get them. Did you want to comment on it or say something?
Yes, I was actually only bringing this to your attention because this was brought to me by somebody who's not even a resident. I am not one to take my time to search through things. I have a busy schedule enough to do this, but somebody actually brought this to me in a mocking way, and it really got to me. It really upset me that people were mocking my community. I've lived here my whole life, and they're mocking it because of what is put on the second page. If you flip to the second page, it is a Facebook comment by one of the board members, which, after I read it, I was very upset by that as well. And honestly, I then looked at the board policy book, and to me, it completely violates policies under the acceptable use policy for the general policies applicable to both personal and business networking, B and E. B, which says district representatives may not take positions on matters which may be contradictory to or disparage the district, its students, services, etc. if the district is identified or identifiable, which on the very first page you see that it specifically says that this person was discussing the mascot vote in Lancaster. So it identified Lancaster. And then next it says district representatives may not use postings as a mechanism to harass or otherwise harm other district representatives or make comments or statements or take any action in any online forum which discriminates against, attacks, threatens, embarrasses, or otherwise harms any other district representative, student, or community member. F says your communication online may be seen by others as a reflection or representation of your character, judgment, and values, and and in some instances may be perceived by others as an indirect extension of the district, regardless of your intent. Posting some types of information may jeopardize your image and reputation, and by extension, the district's image and reputation. So, in closing, the reporting policy says to do not underestimate the power and speed of social media. Irreparable damage can result from certain postings in very short time frames, so it may be imperative that the district takes immediate action with respect to violations of this policy. The district will investigate inappropriate usage and will respond to complaints made about posting or sites in violation of district policies.
Thank you for bringing that to our attention, and we will have it investigated.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
I couldn't hear you.
ladies and gentlemen, my name is Brian Jarasimowitz. I'm a taxpayer and a local Lancaster resident. I would like to
Your
address
address,
you.
please?
I'm not giving you my address.
Oh, okay. Go on.
I would like to address you about this whole debacle with the high school yearbook. Being, as you all know, as the cookie crumbles, was an egregious shot at the community. And my question is to you, Dr. Valley. I sent an email off to the district, and I got back a blasé response, and I'd like to know if there's any discipline being held or sent out to Mr. Miller for his egregious comments that he made by letting this cookie crumble crap go on in the yearbook. Can you answer that, please?
I can answer pieces to it. First of all, we're going to have to disagree that it was an egregious comment. Second of all, I'll say that the high school yearbook was a food theme with multiple idioms throughout the thing. And third, I will say that Mr. Miller himself has contacted individuals. After that, it's a personnel matter, and I will not comment on it.
All right, thank you.
Anybody else wish to address us? Yes, ma'am.
Hello. Bear with me. This is Cheryl Peck, 84 Norman Drive, Depew, New York. Lancaster graduate. My husband's a Lancaster graduate. My 3 children are Lancaster graduates. Ms. Buckert and Ms. Noah, I have worked with both of you on different committees, and I want to say I am humbled on how you always put the students, faculty, and staff first. This last year, this board has gone through a very controversial period. I was there to see it all, and the first time the mascot issue was brought up at the high school, to the round table with the Native Americans, to the meeting at Central Avenue, where I saw adults edging students on, to scream and yell and surround the superintendent's car as he tries to leave. Then the meeting at William Street, where you all stood together and voted to change the name. I never felt such respect for a group of people as I did that night. You made many people proud. I just hope we can all join in unity to support the students' choice and the new mascot and move forward. After all, this is why we're all here, for the students. So in closing, I applaud you all, especially Ms. Buckert and Ms. Noah, for your dedicated service. You chose the right thing to do instead of worrying about getting reelected. Thank you.
Are you being punked? Are you being punked right now? She's giving flowers.
Can you name and address, please?
Good evening. My name is Michael Valera. I live on Warren Road, Lancaster. The first thing I would like to do is commend all the students for a political process that you went through. It's a big learning thing to go through. I thank you, I really do. It's something to remember as you go further in adulthood and as you start to make votes for your local community, for your state and federal level. I would personally, as a relatively new member of the town of Lancaster, also like to share that you have to keep in mind that when you have a legislation level that takes upon themselves to make a decision for the people, that's the backward way. You did the right one. You were given something to do, and you used it from the bottom up like it's supposed to work. Of the masses, make the choice, go forth with it. The board made a decision amongst themselves to retire that man, leaving you the choice to have to find a new one. So I commend you, but I worry.
Excuse me,
No,
you're supposed to be
let me
addressing the
finish.
floor.
I am, because I want to
Well, no,
commend
you're
him.
not.
I'm not commending you, and don't interrupt, I have 5 minutes, thank you.
No, I'm telling you, sir, you're supposed to be addressing the board.
I'm addressing everybody
Congratulated
here.
them
as a
when you're
public-
talking to them. Now,
as
what
a
do
public
you wish to
discussion,
tell
I'm
us?
addressing everybody. I'm like to tell you that I am disturbed on how this process went. It went backwards from the top down instead of the bottom up. So, in some of your words, the community has spoken. They're not done. Because now the other side has to happen. The changes will come for the changes of power. It's not supposed to work that way. The power is not in your hand, it's in the people's hand, and then you address it forward. That is what, at the end of the day, and the whole disturbing fact of this whole thing is wrong. So, when you think that the community has spoken, it's not done yet. And it has further words to speak. I just wanted to let you know that.
Thank you. Anyone else who'd like to address us? All right, moving on, 14.0, future presentations.
Mr. Braver, hold on a minute. I'm not ready to move on.
Who said that?
Me?
Oh, I'm sorry.
She's off the board.
You want to say something?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
You know, we've sat here for hours listening to you. You didn't get an opportunity to vote. I get that you're pissed about that, okay? I get that. However, you don't, Mrs. Christopher in particular, has been at this board from day one in August. Let's just go through the events. She doesn't know how she became the poster child. However, she's been at every single thing with every single microphone. So let me just say, the board goal, and you need to listen and you need to remember, was to engage the school community in a discussion regarding the Redskin mascot. It was not about change. It was about education and a conversation. That was all. It went January. The conversation wasn't January.
Mrs. Mrs. Christopher, you were given an opportunity to talk and you didn't.
Let her speak.
Now she's speaking. No, give Mrs. Nowak an opportunity to speak. Very easy for you to say that, isn't it? Very easy for you. All right, Mrs. Nowak, go on.
This was about an educational process. It was not about change. And I think those of you who took the time and go back and look at that board goal will understand that. Now, I understand your anger, but what I don't appreciate and what I don't respect and what I will not do is continue to have this thought process that this was all done on our own. I'm going to tell you something. Somebody, the anonymous donors of those banners that went up in the village infuriated the reservations and the Native Americans in and around our community. And while that took place, that was the shot that was heard. And that made this go forward. Furthermore, Mrs. Christopher, when we were at that forum, I went to your table. I was very upset when I sat at your table because you didn't have any support there. And I felt bad, and I even asked about it over and over, how did that happen? And then when the people that were supposed to sit for you were not there, it was most unfortunate. And so I'm sorry that took place, but that wasn't a setup, that wasn't anything. What I'm trying to get to is that this has not gone the way we would want this to go. None of us would want this to go like this. Dr. Valley is a very intelligent man. He's not about to set something up in a way that would infuriate a community and put children at risk and people at risk. Nobody would do this way. You know that. You're a smart woman. I know you know that.
All right, we're not
So,
having a discussion on this. Mrs. Noel,
I'm
you
just
have-
asking you all to consider the facts, or to try to find out what the facts are. Not the facts that you're putting forth or that are being populated and things that are going around on Facebook. That's not fact. That's what's ruining this country. This nonsense. You can say whatever you want behind a keyboard, because you're, but come, talk to people.
Ma'am.
Learn the facts.
I'm standing here and I'm looking at you right in your face and being a gentleman, and I will give you the respect that you are due.
Thank you.
But, on the other hand, you just mentioned about listening. And none of you have listened to this community. You drug us through the mud.
Mrs. Nowak has made her statement.
I'd
We're
like
proceeding.
I would like a chance to rebut that.
Go ahead.
I would like that chance. Mrs. Novak, with all due respect, I know exactly your anger towards me, and all I'm asking you is to hear me out. This started back in August. I sat with Dr. Valley and explained to him after Lancaster V decided not to print the word Redskins that this was going to be a big issue in our community. We talked about forming a committee of anti-Redskins, pro-Redskins, and those in the middle. What did it turn out to be? That debacle of a forum. You're right, I sat by myself with 2 Native American chiefs, a professor of Native American Studies at UB, 3 other Native Americans. It was 7 against 1, and nobody did anything. I handled myself just fine. You didn't even feel sorry for me. In fact, I developed a relationship with Martin Seneca because of it. Now, let's get back to the community. Not once were we heard. Not once. And you know when we were? March 19th. That's when this community was heard. Overwhelmingly voting This got to vote. This could have been done in 5 minutes. All Dr. Valley had to do was turn this over to a public vote. The public would have overwhelmingly passed it, and the next time Native Americans came charging at your door, all he had to say was, my community spoke. Instead, he threw his community under the bus. We have been here, meeting after meeting after meeting. We get 5 minutes. That's not listening to us, Kim. That's not listening. You all made the decision based on whatever information you had, and nobody came to us asking us how we felt. Nobody, including the Native Americans, who wanted us to fight for their name. Remember that round table you sat with 5 Native Americans telling you how awful our nickname was? Where were the 5 Native Americans who want us to keep that nickname? Don't you think that was a little one-sided? That you were educated on the Redskin name? That's like me being a teacher, teaching my students how to add and not how to subtract. You didn't get the whole story. You got one side of it, and you all peeved. I watched you. I was there.
Can I just respond to some of that? Because I think, on some level, I think the community forum, which we all agree with, on some level, okay, can you just let me talk? I'm not interrupting you.
53%. We're not even residents.
But-
53% of a community forum.
But you
They
understand-
live in Lancaster.
you understand
That's
me?
not a community forum. That's not a community
You
forum.
you understood what has been in the media? Do you understand what we do not exist in a bubble. Lancaster is not an intramural athletic event. If you've looked at the newspaper and you've seen that schools have decided to boycott playing our school based solely on the name, whether you agree with it or not is not the point. The fact that there are other people outside of this community, we represent ourselves, and I understand there is a group of people who are upset about the name change. I get it. And the community forum may not have gone to the way you wanted it, but there were people who did not show up. And I'm not going to point out names because some of them are in this room who decided not to take part
because they decided to take a seat behind, and I'm not blaming them for that. That is a different situation, but we don't exist in a bubble. We don't, more than ever, this community and the world is a global marketplace. These students can interact and learn over the internet. They can contact people all over the world. We don't exist just as us. We don't, and I'm sorry we don't agree to see that, but we listen to you. We sat at meetings until 11 p.m. I got home at midnight the one night. We sat and listened to 46 people. I'm sorry we don't agree on this.
46 people, how many lived in Lancaster?
Okay, they were both on both sides. They were. We can just at some point we can agree that the process was we listened, and when we talked, you didn't listen. So it's a hard thing to say we didn't listen, because we did. And I'm sorry that we.
How did you listen? You pushed us out in the hallway.
No one.
Tell me when you listened.
You pushed us out in the hallway.
The room didn't fit enough people to exist for all of us to be there.
Then we should have had it here or at a bigger venue then.
We didn't. Do you understand?
You know why? It's been your plan to make small little meetings.
Do you really believe
Wait a
this
minute.
was a plan?
You guys meet in small rooms so people can't come.
No.
Once the 30 people get in there, bingo, that's it. Shut them down.
Hold on a second, please. That was a budget work session, that was after the vote, all right? That was not anything to do with a regular meeting, and you know that, all right? Now, we gave Mrs. Christopher an opportunity to say something. We gave Mrs. Noah an opportunity to say something. Mr. Gallagher said something. One more person wants to say something, Mrs. Nowak or anybody else, have an opportunity, and then we're going to finish.
All right, could I just respond just briefly? Brenda, I appreciate your passion, and where is she? She's there. Believe it or not, Brenda, I look forward to working with you again. I enjoyed working with you on the board. Just a little bit about myself and my background. When I came onto this board, it was at the urging of teacher friends of mine in this district who said, come to a board meeting and see if your voice is being heard, right? So I sat back there, and this is when it was also a tumultuous time, which I'm sure you remember. The teachers were in negotiations, and it was very conflicting. And I listened to the board, and I said to myself, my voice is not on this board. The 40-something guy with a couple kids, who's an educator, what have you. I mean, you were on the board at the time, but my voice was I didn't think heard, right? So I got on the board, and I've been on. This is my 4th year on the board. And when we were going through this discussion, this process, which was a new process, and I agree with you, we have made mistakes along the way. The ultimate mistake was that we were not engaged with the public as much as I would have liked to be. But I will tell you this: I wanted to engage, and it became so conflicting, so quickly that it became intimidating. So what happened to me was I listened, and you can't say that I didn't listen. And the loudest person is not always right, because I sat here and thoughtfully listened. And I agonized over this, and I talked to board members, and I talked to community members, and I talked to family members, and I did. And I had a conversation with Kim, and this really weighed upon me. I said, we're going to unanimously vote this, or it appears, right? But it would not reflect the community, because there were people that didn't want us to vote against the change, right? Or wanted us to vote against the change. But it begged the question: is it my responsibility to reflect the community, or is it my responsibility as an individual board member, Brenda, and you wouldn't disagree with me here, that I am to represent my values, my morals, the people that I didn't think were spoken for. So now, as you have mentioned, the people have spoken. The votes have come in, and now we have 2 new members, whom I welcome, and you will agree this board is now more diverse. That's the democratic process at work. And to say that the community should get a vote, who's to decide? You already did get a vote. You voted us onto the board. And now, you didn't agree with what we had to say, sir. You didn't agree with what we had to say or how we voted. So now you have voted 2 incumbents out. The democratic process is at work. Because what's to say what the community should vote on? President Obama, let's vote on your health care act. Let the community vote. No, we voted him into office. Same thing with legislatures. So now this will be more balanced, and hopefully we can work together on more than this one issue, because there are so many issues. As a teacher, you know this, as a parent. And one thing I know about you, and I know about Ms. Stipchinsky, is that you love your children, and clearly you love Lancaster. So when you come onto the board, I look forward to working on several issues. And I'm never going to change my opinion on this. and I hope that you don't either. But we have to agree to disagree, and as I've said, we have to bridge these gaps, and we have to find a way to work together, because the days are coming. And then the democratic process will continue to unfold, and hopefully these things will be addressed through votes, as they were on election day.
Okay, can I
Absolutely.
You're right on a couple things. Actually, when you spoke earlier tonight about your plan and how you want to be more involved in field testing, I thought to myself, I want to get on with him. I want to work with him on that. You know that I know what I'm talking about when it comes to that. I think that would be a good match. I didn't say anything tonight because I just didn't think it was the right time. But I do want to address something you said. You said something about you voted on how you felt about the issue. You didn't listen to the community. But the community is the one who put you in that seat. You owe it to them. You owe it to them to listen to what they're saying. Now, in 2005, there was a public vote. And when I sat there in 2013, my last year on the board, we discussed the Redskin name. And Mr. Mishka was our superintendent at the time. And Dr. Valley was the assistant. And I remember exactly where I was when he said to me, don't worry, if push ever came to shove, it would turn to a community vote. And I remember